I have a question that might be hard to answer. Is there an image burned into your mind that you wish you could delete? For many of you watching this, the hardest part of losing your pet wasn't just the silence that followed. It was the moment it happened. Maybe their eyes stayed wide open, staring at nothing. Maybe they let out a strange sound that sounded like a cry. Or maybe their body twitched and paddled, even after you thought they were gone. And now, late at night, that image comes back to haunt you. You replay it over and over, and the guilt eats you alive. You ask yourself, did they suffer? Were they scared? Why did they look like that? Did I make a mistake? If this is you, please take a deep breath. I want you to know something important. What you saw was not pain, and what you heard was not fear. Today, we are going to look at that scary moment through a different lens, one that combines biological science with spiritual truth. We are going to dismantle that trauma so you can finally let go of that haunting image and remember them as they truly were. To understand what happened in those final seconds, we have to change how we view the body. In the spiritual community, and even in holistic medicine, we view the body as a vehicle. It is a biological machine, a suit made of earth. And your pet's soul, that is the driver. For 10, maybe 15 years, the driver was inside the vehicle, controlling everything. When they wanted to bark, the driver pushed the button. When they wanted to run, the driver stepped on the gas. The connection was seamless. But death is simply the moment the driver steps out of the car. And here is the crucial part that most people miss. The driver usually leaves before the engine fully stops. What you witnessed, the twitching, the staring, the gasping, was simply the engine sputtering out after the driver had already exited. Let's break down the 3 most common haunting signs to prove to you that they were already free. The first haunting sign is the eyes. Many owners are traumatized because their pet died with their eyes wide open. You might feel like they were staring at you in horror or begging for help. But let's look at the biology. Closing the eyes requires energy. It requires a molecule called ATP. Muscles have to work to keep the eyelids shut. When the heart stops, the energy supply cuts off. The sphincter muscles relax. The eyelids naturally pop open. It is a purely mechanical reaction. Now, let's look at the spirit. If you were brave enough to look into their eyes in that moment, what did you see? Did you see your dog? Or did you see a glass window? Most people say it felt like nobody was home. And that is exactly the truth. That fixed stare is not a stare of fear. It is the look of disconnection. Think of it like a television set. When you pull the plug, the screen doesn't go black instantly. Sometimes there is a static fade. The eyes are open, but the signal, the soul, is no longer receiving the image. They weren't looking at the room. They were looking through it. They had already shifted their focus from the physical world to the spirit world. So, if their eyes were open, please don't see it as trauma. See it as a sign that the driver had already stepped out of the car and was looking toward the light. The second sign is the sound. Maybe it was a gasp or a heavy sigh or what doctors call the death rattle. This is often the most painful memory for an owner. It sounds like they were fighting for air. But biology tells us something different. This is called agonal breathing. It is a reflex of the brainstem. It is not a conscious effort to breathe. The lungs are like balloons. When the body shuts down, the muscles collapse, and the remaining air inside the lungs is forced out. It rushes past the vocal cords, creating a sound. From a spiritual perspective, this is not a struggle. This is the great release. Think of a diver who has been holding their breath underwater for a long time. When they finally surface, what do? They exhale. Whoosh. That sound you heard was the sound of the soul finally dropping the heavy weight of a sick body. It was the sound of relief. It was the sound of a zipper opening to let the spirit fly free. They were not gasping for this life. They were exhaling to enter the next one. And finally, the movement. Sometimes, even after they have taken their last breath, the legs might paddle, or the skin twitches. This can be terrifying. You think, oh no, they are still alive. They are in pain. Biologically, this is just electricity. Nerves are like wires. Even when the power source is cut, there is residual static electricity in the wires. As the nervous system shuts down, it misfires one last time. It sends a random jolt to the legs. But spiritually, this is beautiful. We often call this running home. Think about the energy it takes to launch our rocket ship. To break free from gravity, there is a massive surge of thrust. When a soul detaches from the body, there is a surge of kinetic energy. The silver cord, the energetic connection between body and soul, is snapping free. That jolt, that paddle, that was not a convulsion of pain. That was the momentum of their spirit, sprinting out of the old, broken shell and running. young and healthy again, into the freedom of the afterlife. The body was just reacting to the force of their takeoff. So, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Bring that haunting image back into your mind one last time. But this time, change the narrative. The eyes were open because they were looking at something beautiful we cannot see. The sound was the sigh of relief as they put down their heavy burden. The movement was them running free. The body you saw suffering was just the vehicle they left behind. They were not in that pain. They were above it. Please, do not let the last 5 minutes of their biology overshadow 15 years of their love. You did not fail them. You walked them to the gate. You held their hand while they stepped out of the car. And they are safe now. You did perfectly. Be kind to yourself. Namaste.